Okay, everybody, welcome to the AFC Northcast. It's another episode, another fine Thursday night. Joey acting like it's 2015 in third grade, just dabbing away.
Like it's the goddamn spelling bee in 2016.
Right, dude. I just want you to know that my son, my 9-year-old son, doesn't think dabbing is cool anymore, and you're dabbing. I just want you to know that.
Bringing it back. It's got to come back around.
But anyways,
that means I'm gonna do it in like 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We're all dads, man. We're all gonna be fucking dabbing it up. But anyways, NFL, man, Week 12. This is gonna be the preview for NFL Week 12. We do have the simulcast, I guess, if that, maybe, whatever. I don't know. Of the Texans and the Colts. So far, kind of a snooze fest. It's 0-3. Is it still 0-3 right now?
Nope. The Texans just scored to go up 10-7.
You've
missed 2 touchdowns.
Jeez, it's only been like 10 minutes and I stepped away. Well, it was a snooze fest. I don't know.
Consecutive drives.
Oh, there you go. But anyways, they are, I guess, competing for, a pretty big spot, right? One of them potential division leaders. The other one, probably a potential wild card spot. So we'll see how that kind of rolls out. Chad's about to crack one open. What you got, Chad?
Woo! Bent Hill Brewery out of Braintree, Vermont. We're drinking a maple red ale tonight, my man.
Yeah, maple red ale.
Yeah.
Holla. What's a maple red ale? What makes it red?
I'd say think Killian's Irish Red, but a little sweeter. Sweeter. Yeah, that's right, Justin. Okay, I had a few tonight.
Same.
I went out. I've got an 18-month-old. This is the 4th time that I can even remember that I went out. It was fun.
Good for you, man. Good for you and your sweeper red maple.
Maple red ale. Sweeter because of the addition of maple syrup.
Chad, Roddy's asking if you've tried Christmas pancakes. Spelled Xmas pancakes, maybe.
It's hard for me to access Hardywood Brewery's beers from Vermont, so tell Roddy to mail me some.
He probably just heard you. Mail us some. Mail me some, Roddy. I had someone from back in Richmond, one of the homies, give me some gingerbread stout not long ago.
I would kill men
coveted.
For trickery. Trickery by Hardywood Brewery.
You should see where the camera is, because you're not very good at that. You every time you go to try to do that, you
block your face.
You're like this. Yeah, block your face. There you go. Perfect. All right.
You know that I was a weatherman for 6 months on a local news channel.
Were you really? Get out of here. I don't even believe you.
They fired me because I kept pointing at the wrong shit.
Is this a real story? Is this
No.
real? Oh, okay. I was about to say.
No.
Oh,
Brenna's online. She's not in the house right now. She's at her folks' place. So she's Myron from afar.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That sweet headband.
Yeah.
That explains why I couldn't hear her talk.
Oh man, all the Richmond people are on. Dan Tucker's on. We're having a tight little sweatpants reunion right now. Justin, Tight Little Sweatpants was the name of our championship beer league football team.
Nice.
In Richmond.
Congratulations. What did you play, Chad?
I played a defensive back and wide receiver. I was a two-way player, much like Patrick Ricard. I think I was kind of an
or Terrell Pryor.
No, Patrick.
All I remember is Joey telling me a story about this one time where it was like 4th down and they went for a big play, and he should have just let the ball drop, but instead he intercepted that shit and gave you guys worse field position, but intercepted it anyways. I don't know. I just remember you were really, really proud of that. You were talking about it a lot. Oh,
Sounds
man.
Like Joey. Sounds like Joey.
Well, anyways, let's talk about some NFL football, some foosball. So we've got a little bit of news. As far as the Myles Garrett thing, we all kind of talked about it. We're just not really going to talk about it anymore as far as with what's going on right now, because things are just kind of very speculative, up in the air, and whatever. It's not worth just arguing for 45 minutes over nothing. So, but anyways, Myles Garrett's suspension has been upheld, so he still has his indefinite suspension, which basically means he can petition to the commissioner next season to remove his ban, basically, is what it means. So we'll see where that goes. Maurice Pouncey got moved to 2 games. Ogunjobi is still 1 game. and the entire Steelers franchise is still penalized because Mason Rudolph is still their starting quarterback. But anyways, that fucking cake eater. Anyways, let's talk about some other stuff. What other news we got going on, guys?
I got a couple Steelers moves that I probably could have talked about like last week, but I just didn't feel like it. But the most recent one that's exciting, and I love to do these things when it matters to our preseason podcasts. Tuesday, you might remember him from our preseason podcast as an unlikely Steelers linebacker who just sacked his way onto the 53-man roster only to be immediately dropped and picked up by the Giants. Has been signed off the Giants practice squad to the active roster because of injuries to Chicolo and Ola Adeyemi. So
Chicolo, wasn't he the one that got arrested though?
He was not.
Charges were dropped.
Oh, okay.
Charges were dropped. So probably a dick, but not a criminal by the letter of the law.
Okay.
So he could actually maybe play if everything really goes bad. And also, goodbye, Sweet Prince, man that I would love to complain about every episode if I could. Ryan Switzer has been moved to the IR, so that's why you haven't heard me complain about him in a week, because he's not going to play anymore for the Steelers this year, and more than likely ever. We're going to miss all those non-broken tackles. We're just going to miss you so much, Ryan. No, he's a good guy, and I shouldn't make light of it. It sucks to be injured. You can expect Johnny Holton, Deontay Johnson, if he clears concussion protocol, and Cam Sutton to man the return duties for the Steelers. So if you're looking for me to complain about special teams, those are the names to remember for Tuesday.
Cool. Joe, you got
Chad,
any?
do you know if Ryan Switzer is related to Barry
I was just
Switzer
looking that
at all?
up right now. It looks like no. Children, Kathy, Greg, and Doug.
No, they would have said it on like a Monday night game or something.
Hi, Renee. Lots of unusual drop-ins tonight. Rant people I wouldn't expect to be tuning into the AFC Northcast. We're happy to have everybody.
We love you.
Welcome. Listen to us talk poorly about football.
Oh yeah. What else you got, Chad?
That's it.
Any
That's
other?
all I have. There were other signings. There's another wide receiver that I might talk about when we get to the Steelers game, because I promised you that I'd tell you who's going to be on the team this week, but I'm going to save it because I don't know if I'm going to even bring it up.
Hey, is everyone ready for your Lamar Jackson moment of zen today?
Sure. Bring it on. Lay it thick.
Let's do it early.
Marlon Humphrey told a story to the media today to illustrate how much Lamar Jackson has lifted the locker room this year. Lamar went into the training room yesterday, even though he was not scheduled to get treatment because he's bionic and a superhuman. But he just wanted to shake hands with all the rehabbing players and athletic trainers. So all you people out there that love to hate on Lamar Jackson and call him a running back, up yours. Lamar Jackson's an awesome guy and fun to watch.
Why are you so prejudiced against running backs? Running backs can be nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Typically not good quarterbacks, though.
I mean, I don't
You
know.
only
He's making
gave
a pretty
him a
bold
chance.
case. He's making a very bold case. All right. Anything else, Joey?
Joey's
Mason-
done. That story was lame. Let's move
Mason
on.
Rudolph's a chump. all.
Let's see. Actually, is he running for team president or something? Is what Roddy said. He's got like the superlatives and shit.
Good
Only
joke,
bit.
Roddy.
New vending machines in the locker room with all the good shit in them.
Yeah. With Monster energy drinks.
There you go.
Fucking. Oh yeah. So, anyways, David Njoku might be coming off of IR. That's something that might be a big deal. I'm not sure, man. I am like, he's so polarizing to me. Like, Njoku either makes these like crucial catches in the end zone that are contested, or drops the most wide open ball you've ever seen in your entire life. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, if it's another weapon for Baker, will it be good? I don't know. I mean, they're just starting to find their stride. Do they really need to implement somebody else? Who knows? I don't know. But
Bengals fans can't relate.
Who's that? Like, how much better is David Njoku than Ricky Seals-Jones?
Statistically or in my opinion?
Just your opinion. Like, to me,
in my opinion, this year,
think...
Ricky Seals-Jones has made more like exciting catches and plays than Njoku has in the past. But that's just me. I don't know. Like I said, like when he drops like that wide open ball that's on like a crucial third down, it puts me in this salty mood that like the touchdown pass that he gets later on in the game like is just negated completely. I don't know. So
yeah,
I can't call myself objective against Njoku.
Roddy said that he's the Braylon Edwards of tight ends.
Ooh, I do.
And
Braylon
I do
Edwards.
Remember Braylon Edwards.
High praise, Roddy.
There you
I like
go.
that. Clearly much better than Ricky Seals-Jones, if I'm interpreting Roddy correctly.
But well, let's roll that right into the games, I guess. So the first game we're going to talk about, I guess, is just going to be the Browns and the Dolphins because it's the Dolphins, right? Which usually, I guess, it would go the other way where it would be like, well, it's the Browns, right? But this is a trap game. This is a potential trap game, right? So not only is Ryan Fitzmagic just Ryan Fitzmagic, however, there is interesting news that he has a shoulder injury, a shoulder and forearm injury of some sort. I'm guessing maybe he got hurt in practice or something. I'm really not sure. But he's actually like hazy is what the internet says as far as his playing. Fitzpatrick has injuries to his right shoulder and forearm. His availability against the Browns on Sunday is hazy. So I don't know what hazy means, but
get the Rosen one.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. Like I said though, with the overconfidence that the Browns have played with so far this year and the games that they've lost as a result therein, I could totally see this being a game that the Browns lose because of their overconfidence, just because they're just ill-prepared. They've got like no strong safeties on the roster, like Chad talked about last week. Although Justin Burris is starting, but it's I don't know.
That's great.
This could be something.
Who is it?
What's that? I said Justin Burris is.
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. So. So we'll see. I don't know. Defensive line is obviously going to be having problems. The only real starter on the defensive line is going to be Sheldon Richardson. Not to say that they don't have some good guys playing, second string, I guess, but still only having Sheldon Richardson after 3 stars are out on the defensive line, like, still not too bad, right? So,
if you're Miami, you're thinking if there's a week to play the Browns, this is it.
Except for their entire offense.
That's very true. Bet the over.
Yeah. The Joe Schobert's listed as questionable as well. Don't know why. Probably just because he's been playing there for 4 years and said, I don't feel like practicing today. So they just listed him as questionable because that's the kind of stuff the Browns do.
Because to be the GOAT, you got to have something like a flu game. So this is going to be Joe Schobert's flu game.
His flu game? Nice.
Yeah. So you don't know about the Michael Jordan flu game?
Nope.
Oh my god.
Wasn't there some shit where he had the flu and then he had some a lot of points or something? Yeah.
It's like legendary sports stuff. That's okay. It's not football, so it's not really relevant, Joey.
No, it sure isn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never been a fan of basketball.
I was really trying to get serious about this game because, well, that's why we're here, right? To pretend to be serious about this stuff. And Miami just really stinks. They stink. Kalen Ballage is their starting running back. He has not averaged 3 yards a carry in any game this year. He's never done it. Never. He ran 9 carries for 9 yards in their loss to Buffalo. His best game, because I looked at their wins, which were the 2 games preceding Buffalo. They beat the Colts and they beat the Jets. When they played the Colts, they slowed the game way down. They got 3 turnovers. They played on some short fields. They got 1 Fitzmagic rushing touchdown. Kalen Ballage led the way. 20 carries. Anyone want to guess the yards? It's less than 60.
47.
43 yards.
I was going to say, but I hope it's lower.
I was literally just about to say that. Literally, tip of my tongue.
Then you nailed it, Justin.
Yep,
20 carries for 43 yards. So one way that the Miami Dolphins could beat the Browns is if the Browns turn the ball over in the red zone 3 times.
I mean, not completely unlikely.
Yeah, I wouldn't put the Browns out of the woods yet with their red zone struggles. It's only been one game.
Yeah. The other way that the Dolphins have won a game this year was the Fitzmagic. They beat the Jets, I believe. I believe the score is 26-18. He threw for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions.
Revenge game.
It's important to note that Fitzmagic's arm is injured and his shoulder is injured, but his hand seems fine. So he can grip the football and he can do what he needs to do. Now, if Fitzmagic does complete any passes, it's likely they're going to be to the tight end, Mike Gesicki, and their leading wide receiver, Devontae Parker. I don't really see any of this stuff happening. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the game because I don't know what else to say, except for watch out for Taco Charlton. He might not even play because he didn't play against the Bills, but he's the team leader in sacks. He's number 96. If he's chasing Baker Mayfield, he's the only one to really scare you. He's kind of fun. Taco. And it's fun to say his name. So if he sacks Baker, you can be like, Taco sacked Baker. You're going to hear that from me a lot on
That's
Tuesday.
not what I'm going to be saying at all. It will be the only time you'll ever hear me say the words taco and be really upset.
The one thing that I do think is interesting about this game is to go back to Justin's comment about the safeties. So the Browns started the year with 6 safeties, and their most favored defensive lineup was like a nickel that featured three safeties. So they only have one of the remaining safeties from that lineup that was Morgan, Burnett, and Jermaine Whitehead and Demarius Randall. They still have Demarius Randall. So in order to play that lineup, they have to play all of their safeties, who I basically have never heard of. So I'm really curious to see what kind of lineup the Browns trot out there. And Miami's going to be a great opportunity to experiment a little bit. So are they going to kind of go to more of a base where they play less defensive backs, or are they going to try and figure out a way to get more of their corners in there if they're kind of healthier now? I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see what they do. And it's a good opportunity to do some middle school science experiments on a middle school team.
It's interesting. I don't know. You know what I think is interesting too is that in the last game against the Bills, Ryan Fitzpatrick was sacked 7 times, which is wild. He also still threw for over 300 yards. But, it would have been nice to have had like a full defensive line, like the full complement for this game, just to see like how many they could rack up, just like racking them up. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously, I think most people think that this is a game that the Browns should win, but I think as a Browns fan, and if anyone, anyone that's, I guess watched the AFC North, very much so a possible trap game. So we'll see.
They are the most heavily favored team of the week for our gamblers out there. Not a position the Browns have been in very often in recent history.
Yeah. Given their guys that they're going to miss on defense, I would probably stay away. We don't really know what this Browns defense is going to look like. That being said, the offense should move the ball and score pretty handily. I would expect them to. Since they've had Kareem Hunt, they've looked a little rejuvenated, looked a little bit better. He's fun.
This should be the Kareem Hunt contract game. Like limit Nick Chubb's carries, let Kareem eat, and
let him prove
it. Of money. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on and talk about the
picks.
What's up?
Anybody picks?
Oh, I'm taking the Dolphins. No.
I'm taking the Browns.
The Browns should, and whatever the spread is, I'll take the Browns for that too.
I'm on the Browns. I've got the spread on Bovada 10.5. I don't know about that.
I mean,
I'm fine with it.
Let's see. I mean, how many games have the Dolphins lost by? 10.
A lot.
They
lost by like 50 to the Ravens and then like 45 to the
So Washington, they only lost by
Pats.
1. And then
The
the 2 wins
Cowboys
they had.
covered like 28 against them.
Yeah.
If you want to do
I've spent a lot of time this year betting against the Dolphins until recently.
They lost by 17 to the Bills, who the Browns beat. So if you want to do some nonsensical comparison,
Yeah, they lost by like
head-to-heads,
48 to the Ravens, who the Browns beat by like 30.
So I guess
So you should beat them by 70.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's talk about the division matchup. Let's talk about the Steelers and the Bengals. So, Chad, you want to take us off?
Sure. So the Bengals have a good defensive line. Probably the first Steelers note of importance is that Marquise Pouncey will be serving the first of a 2-game suspension. So BJ Finney will be the starting center.
Which is not
terrible.
something to overlook, right? The fact that you're having a different center, that's actually kind of a big deal.
I normally would say so, but BJ Finney is, I would say, comfortably an above average backup. He's kind of our swing guy. He can play guard. He doesn't play much tackle, but he can do it. And he's our backup center. He's pretty good. And honestly, Marquise Pouncey has not been connecting well with Mason Rudolph on snaps to the shotgun this year. They've had like one bad one a game at least. So if he does that, it'll just be the normal. And if he can just snap the ball to him, then we'll be getting better. So, he won't be as good at kind of pulling. Most centers aren't athletic enough to do pull blocks in the running game. But guess what? The Steelers' running game is trash. It's been trash all year. So we're not doing advanced center pulls. We're just hoping someone can get 3 yards for Christ's sake. So that's like we'll take Kalen Ballage. We'll take his production. We could use that this week. So I'm not actually that concerned about it. But it is worth noting because Cincinnati's defensive line is good. Doesn't look like James Conner's going to play. So we'll be featuring a backfield of tight end Jalen Samuels, and probably Benny Snell is back from his 3 or so week adventure on the injured list from a scope he got in his knee. Steelers analysts believe that Benny Snell is actually the better runner of the two and substantially the best pass protector of all the Steelers running backs. So that could help Mason out a little bit, even if the running game isn't more productive. It'll be good to have him back. Injuries. Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster, our top 2 wide receivers, are both in concussion protocol. Although, good news and bad news. Bad news first. Juju Smith-Schuster, in his traversing the concussion protocol, apparently has a knee injury also. So he has a knee brace on and is not practicing. So I wouldn't expect him to play this week. But Deontay Johnson practiced in full. So I think we'll have James Washington and Deontay Johnson as our starting wide receivers. It is what it is. Deontay's played well this year, so I'm hoping for good things from him because the people behind him are Tevin Jones. You might know Tevin Jones from such plays as the second Mason Rudolph interception when he threw behind Tevin Jones on a deep crossing route to Joe Schobert. Also, we have Johnny Holton. You might know Johnny Holton from such plays as every time Mason throws deep to a short guy who doesn't catch it and looks for a pass interference call. That's him. And Deion Kane, who, if he's active, you might know him from Clemson because he got drafted 2 years ago from Clemson. And that's it. He hurt his ACL in preseason with the Colts and hasn't done almost anything since. He has like 4 receptions for 50 yards this year. He can run a straight line pretty fast and he's tall. So you might see him in there instead of Johnny Holton because we already know that Johnny Holton's not going to catch it. That's pretty much the offense. I would say that based on everything I'm saying, you can expect it to struggle. Cincinnati's defense isn't great. But the reality is the Steelers' defense or offense has required shortened fields. That either happens via turnover or penalty. So, I would love to say that I have a reason to expect major improvement, but I think incremental improvement would be nice. So that means we're still taking the occasional shot in one-on-one coverage, hoping for a couple penalties and hoping for the defense to create some turnovers so that we can kind of blow this game open. But the Steelers don't start fast. They generally turn the ball over at minimum on their first offensive drive of the game just to get warmed up. So it might be tense. Steeler fans, might be a tense one.
Who'd have thought 2 years ago when Ben and Antonio and Le'Veon are leading this team to basically division titles every year, that going into week 12 of 2020, the old Pittsburgh Steelers, the Stillers, would be led by Mason Rudolph and James Washington and Benny Snell.
You're not kidding. It's going to be rough sledding for the offense this week. I mean, we've seen. I don't think Mason Rudolph's as bad as probably the media coverage says, but he isn't good. Like for every good throw he makes, there's a drop, and there's also a bad throw. So I mean, like that means that the odds are stacked against you for any sort of sustained drive. I would say your winning formula this week is 2 short field touchdowns and 1 long drive. If you get 1 long drive where you get a touchback and score a touchdown, that's awesome.
It might be all you need too.
I think it could be, because the Bengals honestly offense isn't in much better situation. The one advantage they have is that of all the offense's players, the Bengals have the one player that can orchestrate a touchdown drive on his own, and that's Joe Mixon.
Agreed.
If you don't pay close enough attention to him, they could hand it off to him 7 out of 9 plays, and he can take you 65 yards for a touchdown. So they're going to actually, obviously they're going to key on him. This is sad. I'm sorry I can't be more jovial, but there's like a real chance the Steelers could lose to a winless team this week to eliminate their chance of going to the playoffs.
Well,
and
look,
why am I talking about the playoffs? Because they might lose to the Bengals.
The Bengals...
Eternal optimist.
The Bengals could win this game and still get the first round pick. So...
That's true.
Right? I mean,
yeah, the Dolphins with Fitzmagic might fuck around and cost the Dolphins a franchise quarterback.
Well, he's got 2 wins under him right now, so
yeah. And with Tua getting hurt,
yeah,
Tua might just go in the 3rd round to the Pats.
Tua is a first round pick, man. He's going right up there at the top. I do think that actually there are some interesting comparisons between Finley and Mason. So I'll actually be interested to watch them simultaneously this week and kind of see. Obviously, you would hope that Mason would be further along in his development than Finley because he's been in the league longer and everything. But they both seem to have similar characteristics in that they're pretty conservative with the ball. Their arm strength isn't maybe as what you would love it to be. And they're a little bit skittish in the pocket sometimes, with Finley having a bit more athleticism than Mason. So could be an interesting comparison among quarterbacks that not many teams really want to be their starting quarterback.
So does anybody know what's going on with AJ Green? Is he ever coming back?
It's just kind of ambiguous, and everybody I think is just assuming that he's going to sit out this year.
Yeah.
It's one of these deals where it benefits him and it benefits the team for him not to play.
Right.
So
yeah,
and by benefit the team, I mean they get a better draft pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot of Tyler Boyd. You're going to see Alex Erickson. You're going to see some other people that hopefully...
Cody Core, or did he get cut?
No, Cody Core. Auden
Tate, yeah.
No, he's injured. He got carted off the field last week. He's not playing. So, I mean, like, they're in worse shape than the Steelers are.
God, this game's going to suck.
I know.
Like, honestly... if you
the marquee divisional matchup, guys. The marquee division matchup.
Look, if you love defensive football, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Can we just get mercenary, hire AB and Vontaze to play in this game just for 1 week? Cut them $250,000 check to play and just blast each other in the helmet 120 times.
Yeah.
Dude, I think if you're going that route, I think you should also bring back Joey Porter and Chad Johnson.
Let's do it. Hell yeah.
That could be fun.
If the Bengals signed Ocho Cinco tomorrow on Friday and was like, yo, he's going to suit up and play the number 2 wide receiver spot instead of Auden Tate, I am tuning in to watch that game.
Yeah, dude, it would be fun.
Hell yeah.
You got some personalities there, so I'm with it. I love it. I love it. So I'm picking the
All right.
Steelers because, for God's sake, the Bengals haven't won a game. Like,
Roddy's making nauseous faces at a lot of Tyler Boyd. He said, check his numbers. I don't think a lot of Tyler Boyd was in a positive light. It's just the reality of the Bengals offense.
Yeah.
yeah, he shouldn't be a problem for the Steelers to guard. But they don't really have anybody else. They don't take advantage of their talent at tight end effectively to this point.
No.
So.
Zach Taylor, offensive wizard.
Yeah. He fucking smelled farts of Sean McVay. But,
hey, I mean, he made Tyler Eifert and CJ Uzama disappear.
Oh,
hey, he is magic. Yeah. All right. I'm taking Steelers. Joey, what are you taking?
Yeah, man, I'm on the Steelers.
Yeah,
because that defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pissed. They'll do something. They'll do something mean.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to, I guess, the real marquee matchup.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
So, yeah. On Monday night, the Ravens play the Rams in Los Angeles. Seemed like much more of a marquee matchup a few weeks ago. The Rams have kind of stumbled a bit. As those of you close to us will know that they lost to the Steelers a couple weeks ago. So they're in a weird place offensively. Jared Goff has been absolutely atrocious. And their defense has been made to change on the fly this year. Most notably in the secondary with getting rid of Talib and Marcus Peters, as much as anybody would expect for contract reasons, money reasons, but then signing Jalen Ramsey. Look at, jeez.
Steelers on the brain.
But the Rams defense is average or better in everything this year so far. They are exemplary in pass rush. I think they have the second highest pass rush win rate. Say that 10 times fast. In the NFL. Second highest to the Cowboys, which is something definitely to note. But to counter that, the Ravens have the second highest pass block win rate in the league. They also get the benefit of the elusiveness of Lamar Jackson. And while we're talking about Lamar Jackson, let's talk about Eric Weddle. Chad, I know that you heard what Eric Weddle, well, at least generally, what Eric Weddle said. Did you see the actual quote?
I did not.
So he had said that he definitely could share things, he knows things. He acknowledged that, and then later in the interview when they pressed on it, he said, I have a lot of respect for that place, not only how it helped my career and rejuvenated my career, how they treated myself and my family, but it's a very tight-knit group, and what would I be? What kind of man would I be if I just turned my back on all of them? So he's showing a loyalty to the Ravens, whether you believe that that's foolish or not. The Ravens tend to do that to defensive players. They kind of breed the family feeling. I know Eric Weddle loved his time here in Baltimore, and on the flip side of that, Marcus Peters is telling those boys everything about the Rams. Everything that he knows, at least. So it should still be a really fun matchup when the Ravens have the ball. The Rams are, I think, top 10 or top 5 maybe even in the league in run defense as far as yards per game go. They're only giving up 80 rush yards a game this year. So it's kind of a strength versus strength type of thing. And when the Ravens have the ball, we'll just see how it plays out. They've got a lot of exemplary talent on that front four, and seeing how they're able to, if they're able to contain Lamar a little bit, will be the key. Aaron Donald had a couple plays last week where the Bears exploited his aggressiveness on draw plays and some things like that, and handed the ball off right past Aaron Donald, who easily whoops his man and gets into the backfield pretty much every play. So it'll be interesting to see. That's a really fun matchup, and definitely strength versus strength. I don't think that the Rams secondary is particularly strong, but lucky for them, the Ravens passing game is not particularly strong either. That's not really how the Ravens want to operate.
I mean, they have Jalen Ramsey and Eric Weddle, so they're also not scrubs either.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots have Stephon Gilmore and the McCourty twins, and I'm not worried about who they have in their secondary.
Speaking of Eric Weddle, did you guys hear that Eric Weddle says he refuses? Joey knows. Eric Weddle says
we already talked about this.
You should not walk away.
Yeah, maybe take a pee before the podcast starts next time.
We did talk about it. So, do you want to share your opinion on Eric Weddle holding the secrets of the
No, I just want to say offense? I told you that it happens, and you know that it happens.
Hey, I know the Rams are going to listen to this podcast. I'll give you the secret. Lamar Jackson is really fucking hard to tackle. That's the secret. That's the sauce. That's the sauce that makes the Ravens offense burger delicious.
And guess what? Here's the deal. Eric Weddle might be like really loyal and a Mormon, whatever that combination of things makes happen. But he's also a free safety, and he doesn't have to tell anyone anything. He can't unknow it. So if he has any secrets about where Lamar Jackson's going, he's going to go try and catch the effing ball. You know why? Because you know what's also cool? Millions and millions of dollar contracts. Every time Eric Weddle makes a good play, he has more of a likelihood of continuing to make money in those contracts. He's not going to just like throw the game. He's not shoeless Joe Jackson. Like, I don't know what this interview even is. It actually makes me like Eric Weddle less, which has been a trend for me with the stuff that he's done to integrate himself into tweet conversations and things. He's a good player. I'm not concerned about secret sharing, whatever.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of that's overplayed too. Between the two of them, I think Marcus Peters has more value in that.
Are you kidding me? He didn't pay any attention to what the Rams were doing.
He might have. Eric Weddle, the team, Greg Roman wasn't even the offensive coordinator last year. The offense is different. Greg Roman was the run game coordinator, so Eric Weddle doesn't know what the fuck's going on over here. And you know who else knows that Eric Weddle was here last year? The Ravens. It's not the same. It's fun to talk about, but I don't think it will really have any bearing on this game.
Yeah,
in either direction.
I agree that the matchup to watch, if you're looking for one, is the front kind of pass rush of the Rams versus the Ravens offensive line, and a little bit of the play calling against it. Like you said, how do they counter Aaron Donald's aggressiveness? Because the cool thing about the Rams, if you're cheering for them, is that they have more than one really talented rusher, which means if they do it in a disciplined way, they can make it as hard as it can be for Lamar to just run through gaps in the pocket, which means they can do the things we've talked about all year, which is instead of just trying to kill him within a second, you try to kind of push him backwards. I don't know if you guys watch the Discovery Channel, but the humpback whales go to Alaska and they blow a bunch of bubbles in a ring, and it makes all the cod swim in a little circle up at the top, and then the big whales come in and they're just like, they eat like 12 tons of fish in one bite. So what you want to do is you want to filter Lamar into a place where he's just drifting backwards and he has nowhere to go, and he throws that little duck off his back foot, and then the big whale, Eric Weddle, comes in. He's like, "I'm sorry, Ravens, I didn't want to do this." And
he did. They let go of him.
Yeah, so that's what you want to have happen. And the Rams actually have the players to maybe do it. But the Ravens offensive line has also played really well the last few weeks. And they've had guys that obviously always play well, like Yanda and Brown, I think, is the other one that's like just always awesome. It should be fun. I mean, that side of the ball should be fun to watch. I was doing a thought experiment for this game
Okay.
because the Ravens have just been killing everybody. So it's like, how do you imagine the Ravens losing? So I was like, imagine a world where the Rams move the ball. What does it look like?
Running.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley getting right.
So Todd Gurley though is only going to get 12 to 15 carries at most. So I'm thinking he needs like 7 yards a carry. Does that sound about right? So like 100 yards on 12 to 15 carries. Or that Malcolm Brown dude or the Henderson kid can just like explode. Like no one saw it coming. Just the game of their career.
Yeah.
10 carries for 130 yards or so, some like Peyton Hillis like stat from when he was good. And then it's like the old days, right? Then they get that going. Then they do play action, Ram style, play action on 70% of their passes. And then Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are just like, because they're so wide open, because the Ravens are so excited about tackling Gurley because they got to help. They got to help because Josh Bynes is a scrub and LJ Fort should be at home playing golf and they're not good. So then the safety Earl Thomas is like, I got to help tackle this guy. So then, Cooper Kupp has like 6 catches for 180 yards and Robert Woods has 7 catches for 140 yards and 3 touchdowns between them. So that's how I imagine it. What do you think? Sound like it's going to happen?
Sounds like a dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm to the place in the season right now where I earnestly believe that the Ravens are the best team in football. I think they have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. How they accomplish it is unconventional on both sides of the ball. They have a super strength on defense in the secondary, and everything else is just kind of meh. And they rely on Wink Martindale's brain to make up for the meh, and hope that the guys on the back end can stand up. The Rams definitely have the talent to stress that back end like they haven't been even by the Texans last week. Like the Texans have DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller, and they've got some nice pass catchers at tight end, but
Will Fuller didn't even play.
Right. They're not Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and I don't know if Brandon Cooks is healthy, but him. So they're able to. I think what I would expect from Wink Martindale is a lot of disguised blitzes. I think the book on Jared Goff, he's been struggling this year, but also I still don't think he's very good at reading defenses, because I think the past couple years he was leaning on that McVay to kind of read some things for him and give him the cliff notes. And Wink Martindale's a crafty fella, and I would expect him to dial up some tricky blitzes. The Ravens have the highest blitz percentage in the league. So they're going to bring pressure. They're going to rely on the defense on the back end to hold up. And we'll just see how Goff handles it. I think the run game is I always called him St. Louis, is the Rams' real opportunity to gash the Ravens on offense.
Yeah. The Rams,
which is what we've said for weeks, but if you blink and it's 14-3 or 21-3 or 17-0, like it's been the last several weeks, like, sorry, Rams.
The game is in LA, so the Ravens have to fly.
Yep.
There's a lot of science that shows that teams that fly great distances get worse at football because of it. Lot of science on that.
Extra day to adjust. Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The air is smoky.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke out,
wildfires. Yeah,
it's hard. If Lamar runs a couple times, he might get tired. He might
But
make some
but
bad
you know,
decisions.
having to fly though, there is the extra radiation, which may or may not turn them into the Monstars. So, the jury's still out.
Also a concern.
Or it could neutralize Lamar's superpowers.
Oof, we'll see. We'll see.
And to the dude on YouTube that laughed at us for criticizing Lamar's weaknesses, guess what? Every team is doing it. They're saying, how do we figure out how to beat Lamar? Guess what? He's not perfect. So that's what we're doing here. If you want to beat Lamar, we're just being honest. You are encouraging him to throw deep passes in which you have a safety just somewhere kind of around. And he has shown some inaccuracy in that way. And yeah, we get it. If you're the Dolphins stink, he's going to throw 5 touchdowns in a perfect quarterback. But if you have some talent and he's throwing off his back foot and he can't lean into the throw, he's inaccurate. Get over your hot self.
Yeah. Part of that has to happen. The offense for the opposition plays a very large role in that, because you have to put some pressure on the Ravens offense. If the Ravens offense can just play free and easy and take chances and things like that, they're so hard to stop. If you get up even a touchdown on them and make them press just a little bit more, Lamar is still a young quarterback, and he will make some dumb throws and he will give you opportunities at the ball. But if they're up and they can just run on first down for 4 yards a carry and then play action on second down, and like, that's a losing recipe.
And you don't even have to have them down by a bunch, because we've already seen that the Ravens can orchestrate a 3-minute drive that's still mostly running plays. It's just the idea of a competitive game. Like, they were beating the Steelers for most of the game they played, but it was close enough that it was competitive and there was pressure, and the throws weren't always easy. So that's all we're saying. We're just saying it might not happen. The Ravens might win out. That's what it looks like. That's what the last 2 weeks have looked like. They're just going to win out. But if a team beats them, it will probably be because they make Lamar feel like he has to make throws and he can't just run for 15 yards a clip because of some sort of pocket control and score pressure.
Yeah, like the Chiefs. Yeah, you got to make them call plays and play with tight buttholes. That's the key, because if they're out there and they're just free and easy, they're gonna shred you. If Lamar Jackson's calm and cool in the pocket back there and just taking off whenever he wants to, it's a disaster time.
I'm picking the Ravens.
Yeah,
they're just better than everybody right now, and the Rams are not great. They didn't play that well against the Bears. They didn't play that well against the Steelers. Both the defenses
they haven't for a while.
They're struggling. It's hard for me to imagine, with the Ravens' momentum and enthusiasm for beatdowns, them having any sort of letdown. They just have so much fun killing everybody.
Yeah, so people are starting to do their power rankings. I mean, not starting, but people have been doing their power rankings, and they're finally starting to give Baltimore, I think, the respect that they deserve. A lot of people putting Baltimore at number 1, if not number 2, which I think anything other than number 1 is probably kind of ludicrous. As far as having fun, yeah, like, I agree. Like, you have to watch the team and understand that they're all having a lot of fun. And the thing with the Ravens, too, is that, like, they never let their foot off the gas. It's like they put their foot on your throat, and then they just never let the pressure off for the entirety of the game. Whereas a lot of times games, teams turn towards the fourth quarter, or things are kind of going a little slow. Like, let's take some guys out. Let's play some, some prevent or whatever. Nah, man. Ravens are looking to score points through all 4 quarters of the game. And that's what I think can make it kind of exciting.
I think part of that is the stress that Lamar causes on a defense. Mm-hmm. And part of it is Greg Roman doing a great job stretching defenses out horizontally, even on run plays, they're doing a lot of things right now, but just the stress on every play, that even if you play it perfectly, Lamar can go off script and just create some crazy shit and get a first down is just gives you a different feeling when you're on defense. Yeah, I remember feeling like that when the Steelers had Cordell Stewart in some of his better performances. It's like, well, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, what can you do? There's nothing to do.
The other thing is that, like, the rant, you said this the other day, Justin, and it got me to thinking about the Ravens offense. And it's like, part of the problem is like, so you've got Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram, who even with Lamar Jackson running as much as he does, they're still getting 20, 22, 25 carries a game, and they're big. They're big. And so you've got defensive line and linebackers getting hit a lot all game. Patrick Ricard, he weighs 300 and whatever pounds actively from a running start. And then they're also chasing Lamar. So they're tired, they're beat up. And so the best thing the Ravens do is run the ball. So it's like, it's not even like they're holding on the gas. They're just like a snowball that rolls downhill. Like, they can't help but score a bunch of points at the end of games because they're doing the plays that other teams do to run out the clock. They're just so good at them, and they've been wearing you down that those are just touchdown drives. Like, that's why their last 5 games have basically ended on like 10-minute drives. Like, you just don't have the ability to stop it anymore. So it's like tomato. I mean, you're right. Like, they don't stop coming at you, but it's like they don't have anything else they can do. They just that's what they do.
Yeah, and they get you in heavy formations on defense with 2 tight ends and a fullback and a bruising running back, and then that's less guys on your field that have a shot at chasing down Lamar or getting the angle on Lamar, and then they're tired. Like,
it's going to be hilarious when they lose.
I mean, I think it's.
Look, man, I called it.
You can't count
Ravens
on
lose
them
out,
going
Browns
undefeated
win out.
the rest of the way. They're bound to have a letdown at some point. Part of me worries that they're peaking too soon. It's only November, so
Joey, when would you say is the right time to peak?
Late December, January. Like, lose week 13. Like, next week, maybe at home. I don't want it, right? But it wouldn't be the worst thing. Here. It wouldn't be the worst thing to lose at home to the 49ers and finish the season, whatever, even if you win out after that. Then you finish the season, you're 13-3, given you beat the Rams, and you're on like a 4-ish game, something to kind of refocus.
Yeah.
You never know. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm also picking the Ravens in this one for right now. It's just really hard to pick against them at this point. It almost feels like picking against the Patriots at this point, But Joey, I'm pretty sure you're picking the Ravens as well, even though you just told us that you want the Ravens to lose. But all right, so that's the AFC North foosball games. Let's talk about some other games around the NFL that are supposed to be coming up this week. Oh, thanks, Windows. I appreciate it.
It's quite a privileged position to be like, I wish my team would lose sooner rather than later.
It is. Yeah. How's it feel?
We'll pull this audio up when they lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. It's because they were just winning too much too soon. Anyways, so let's talk about some of the other games. So the first game let's talk about a game that you're excited about. A game that gets your sweatpants tight. Let's put it that way. I guess I'll go first. I'm going San Francisco and Green Bay, man. I'm fucking stoked about this game. I'm gonna stay up. I'm gonna watch the whole thing. It's gonna be fantastic because I think it's a good idea of what the NFC playoff picture is gonna be looking like. It's one of those things where like the 49ers are like bound to start losing sooner or later. I know they already have lost, but they're bound to start getting tripped up sooner or later, especially against a really good team like the Packers. But I'm also really excited about the Packers too because, the Packers, I had very, very low expectations coming into this season. Like, really low expectations coming into this season. But I was just overwhelmingly wrong. So it's exciting to see them continue to be successful, which is strange to say. But I did pick the 49ers in this game because it's hard to pick against Shanahan, man. Drink.
Yeah, I love this game. If I picked first, this is probably the game I would have chosen. So great choice, Justin. First. I think this is an interesting game of teams that are maybe headed in slightly different directions right now. San Francisco's played a few close games, two against Arizona in the last month, and they've just been kind of struggling to win. Some of it's injuries. George Kittle, obviously all-pro tight end, is great. He's been hurt. Emmanuel Sanders.
Same guy that's averaged like 30 yards a game. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, same guy. I think we went over what he did to the Browns, so we don't need to rehash that story. Emmanuel Sanders, who they brought in from the Broncos, was kind of a spark plug for them in the receiving core immediately, but then he got hurt. They've had a turnstile at running back where they basically have guys that should be backups all running for 1 million yards. But it's been tricky because they keep getting hurt, so just the consistency is missing there. And they've had injuries on the defensive line. But they keep winning. Green Bay, on the other hand, finally has what's-his-face back. Who's that receiver? He's like the best receiver.
Devontae Adams.
I always get him and Devontae Parker mixed up because of the same first name. Pretty obvious. But so he's back finally. Green Bay's really been clicking. Their defense, though, highly touted after a couple early season performances, has kind of tapered off. But luckily, Aaron Rodgers is him, and he's great. So I'm excited about this, and I actually think that the Packers, and I'm not confident, but I'm going to pick the Packers to win this game just because of the trend. I like the Packers trend right now, and I feel like San Francisco's kind of due. They're due for a bad break.
Yeah, they're kind of sputtering a little bit. They sandwiched Seattle, a loss to Seattle, between a couple pretty close games against Arizona.
They should probably still be in overtime with Arizona.
I'd say they definitely slowed down a little bit. I picked the Niners. I just like a lot of what they do, and I just don't like, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, I haven't found the Packers to be fun to watch in a really long time. Maybe it's because he's throwing to Jay Kumaro and some of these jobbers. But yeah, I'm on the Niners, but I think it's going to be a pretty fun game. Good pick, Justin.
And by the way, George Kittle has 60 yards per game that he's played. 2 touchdowns.
How many yards per game does Odell Beckham Jr. have?
I didn't say Odell Beckham Jr. was all pro.
Just asking.
I'm just saying.
He's widely regarded as one of the better receivers in the league.
He still is, despite his stats. The reason that he is not doing well is not a lack of awesomeness. Same with George Kittle.
Actually, total yards, Odell Beckham has more right now, but he's also a wide receiver. But anyways, it's inconsequential. It was a joke. But let's see.
Good one.
No, it's because we talked about it like a couple weeks ago. You guys were like, George Kittle's still the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm like, he just hasn't really done a whole lot this season. And then you both laughed at me when I said that. And it still shows that he still has not done a lot this season. I'm saying.
I'm laughing at you right now. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league, and he's the best.
Oh, well, now he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league.
No,
okay.
He
does everything.
He's universal.
He is.
So
he was always universal. Always.
He and Travis Kelce are 1A and 1B, and then Ertz in Philly, as far as tight ends in the league go, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm just saying his production just doesn't look as good as it did last year. That's all I'm saying.
You know who else doesn't? Baker Mayfield.
I know, but I'm not accusing Baker Mayfield of being an all-pro fucking, Super Bowl champion or anything, right? All right, what's the next game you guys want to talk about?
I'm going to leave Chad an exciting game because I feel like there's not very many on the schedule this week, not with good teams at least. And I'm going to take the one that's on right now. By the time the podcast audio comes out, it'll be over.
Yeah.
But This is actually a really good game. It's been a one-possession game pretty much the whole time. Division rivals, the Colts and Texans. They're both 6-4. Um, the Colts beat the Texans already, and so if they beat them again, kind of seals the division for the Colts. It'll give them a 1-game lead, and the Colts are a pretty solid football team. And the winner of this game, or the winner of this division, is going to be whoever is hosting a wild card team that first Saturday afternoon of the playoffs on ESPN in the dud game. And I'm pretty sure it's NFL regulation that TJ Yates has to start for someone in that game. So
yes,
that's what I've been on the Colts. I have the Colts +4 tonight, and they're up by 4. So right now I'm up 8. So that's a pretty good feeling.
I had picked the Texans initially, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how things unravel. It's tough, man. I don't know. Is Jacoby Brissett figuring out who he is? I don't know. Their running back was hurt. I don't know.
Jacoby Brissett knows who he is.
Agreed. Losing Marlon Mack was big.
I mean, they lost 2 games when Brian Hoyer was starting.
Right.
That makes them a 6-2 football team with Jacoby Brissett.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, is he this, like, polished pocket passer? Is he a mobile quarterback that's going to be, working most of his career outside of the pocket? Like, what is he?
He's more of a pocket passer. He knows what he is. I think they know what he is. Frank Reich is a really good offensive mind.
Mm-hmm.
They've been running the ball a lot. It's what they did when they beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, is they just controlled the ball and ran it. And they got T.Y. Hilton back tonight. And, I mean, they're really good.
If you put Jacoby Brissett behind a different offensive line, do you think he's still as productive as he has been this season?
You could do that with anybody. If you put Lamar Jackson behind a different offensive line, is he?
But but never mind.
Jacoby Brissett has played
that's such a cop out
style of football to Baker Mayfield this year, and if he had been on the Browns, you guys would have 2 more wins. I will say that. Hot take.
I would disagree.
I would say he's a closer play style to Baker than like a mobile quarterback.
Yeah. He'll extend a play, but he's looking to throw. He's not looking, but he can get outside and drift out of the pocket and work. And he maybe is a little less inclined to the deep ball, but he can throw it. I mean, certainly better than Baker's been doing this year.
All right, what's next? I feel like y'all are just doing this on purpose now.
No, I think they play a similar style game, honestly. Obviously, Joey left me. I like to pick games that don't compete with the games I'm watching already, which is AFC North games, particularly the Steelers. So I'm going to take the Cowboys and the Patriots.
I thought for a second you were going to swerve and take the Jags Titans. Jagging off, baby.
Not jagging off. I've made that mistake too many times. I like the Cowboys and the Patriots game this week. I think the Patriots have been maybe a little bit off their game. They're lilting. They're lilting a little bit. And the Cowboys are intriguing. They've got one of the best offenses in football. They've got a quarterback that nobody thinks is good, but he's in the MVP race. They got a running back that everybody thinks is good, but he hasn't been that great.
Yeah.
They got a defense that's pretty awesome, and I don't know if anyone can explain it. Dallas is fun, and I don't like saying that because they are a long-time hated rival, the Steelers, and they're certainly not America's team, but they are fun, and I think they have a real shot at coming into Gillette and shocking New England this week. I picked Dallas to win this game because I think New England, I think they're just due. They've been getting their little New England-y breaks where Julian Edelman throws a hospital ball and Philip Dorsett manages to hold on to it even though he actually ends up in the hospital. And I think they're just due, and Dallas has got talent. Amari Cooper is fresh. He's fresh off his injury. I think he's going to be fired up. I think Ezekiel Elliott can run on this Pats defense. I like it. It's going to be a fun afternoon game. Dallas, New England, 2 teams with very excitable fan bases. I have a feeling this should be a Romo game, so we're going to get some Romo commentary. That'll be fun. Good stuff.
I don't know who has this game, actually. I felt like I heard that it was on Fox, so we might get Buck Aikman on this game.
I wish it was Romo.
It is on Fox.
I like those guys too, but I would have rather it been Romo.
My cats are wilding out, if anybody heard that.
Yeah, we've been hearing it.
Yeah. I'm only picking the Patriots because it always feels bad to pick against the Patriots when you're doing pick'ems, man. I don't know. The Cowboys, I'm also have never been fond of, but I mean, so let me take a second to look at their record. Like, who have they beaten that's actually worth it? No, because you remember in the beginning of the season, right? They had played like 7-8 games. They hadn't fucking beaten anybody. Then they played against the Packers, and they like got shut out until like the third or fourth quarter when things started getting soft.
Everyone said that about the Ravens too. Oh, it's just the Dolphins. Oh, it's just the Bengals.
So are you saying that the Cowboys are akin to the Ravens this year? So are the Cowboys
the Patriots?
Are the Cowboys akin to the Ravens this year?
Maybe. Dak Prescott leads the league in passing yards. This defense is very good. I picked the Patriots also, just because I will, until they prove that they're not the Patriots, I'm going to pick them.
Right.
Because they're still fine. I mean, Tom Brady hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 straight games, but they're still finding ways to win, except when they play the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually made me a little nervous last week, the game against the Eagles, because like the Ravens, a lot of the Ravens season and like the aura of the Ravens hinged on that New England primetime game. And so if New England goes into Philly the next fucking week and loses to Philly, it's like, oh, well, maybe the Pats aren't as good as we think they are. So I need them to keep winning a little bit. They can lose one more so that we can have the 1 seed. And then keep winning. Stay good, Pats.
Who cares? Just
I'd rather
Super Bowl.
How about this? I'd rather beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game in Foxborough because it's that much fucking sweeter.
That's the spirit.
Because the Ravens, despite the record, which is 2-2 in the playoffs in Foxborough, both of those games the Ravens should have won. One especially, no thanks, Lee Evans and Billy Cundiff, you tools. So, go Ravens. I'm not scared of Foxborough or the Patriots.
Justin, did you have a chance to look up Dallas's wins? I have a feeling you're going to be disappointed.
No, you're wrong. The Cowboys lost to the Jets. But
exactly.
So anyways, yeah, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
How many losses did the Cowboys have?
6-4. They've lost to the Jets, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Saints. The Saints when there was no
bunch of doo-doo teams that they've lost to.
The Saints when there was no what's it called?
No Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Like
the Vikings
the Saints were 4-0 with their backup.
The Vikings are still far from elite at this point, right? They're a good team, but there's definitely have their own like struggles that are open to be exploited. So I don't know, go that far. And they lost to the Jets. The teams that they've won against. How about that? Let's flip the script. The Giants, the Redskins, the Dolphins, the Giants again, the Lions,
the Eagles,
right? The Eagles, who are highly suspect this year. So
they're a juggernaut.
And I'm just a big dumb.
They might be the Kirk Cousins of football teams.
They might be the Bills of the NFC. Oh God, I hope you have a Dallas fan that listens to this.
Yeah.
Dallas, the Buffalo of the NFC. Just as fun of a town, just as accomplished over the last 15 years.
15 years. Hey-o.
All right, let's. What about a game that you're not so certain about? You guys want to talk about one of those?
Sure. I mean, a couple of those good games. I'm not so certain about.
Don't feel too good about.
Let's see. I usually use my confidence pool to figure out which games. So the lowest game that we haven't talked about yet is Jags Titans.
Oh, I was gonna pick that one.
Me too.
Ryan Tannehill has injected some life into this Titans team. Nick Foles, this will be his second game back. He looked like doo-doo after the first quarter in the Jags last game. What the fuck? I don't know. Mike Vrabel's fun and cool. Ryan Tannehill, is this the year that he takes a step forward?
He's been in the league like 7 or 8 years now, man. It's wild. Everybody thinks he's like only been in for like 3 or 4. Like, no, man. He's like he's
you just
a journeyman
talking about this game with that joke because this game is worthless. Nobody cares. Without Gardner Minshew playing, without something fun to talk about. But I agree. I don't know what's going to happen.
I picked Jacksonville.
I'm going to skip right ahead, though.
I picked the Titans because they're at home.
I told you I'm never picking against the Titans again the rest of the season, so I'm sticking true.
Dude, the Titans are trash.
That's when they win. Right when you think they're garbage. You know what? Because what are they? They're 5-5. So they'll win this week, and then they'll lose next week. And then they'll win the next week, and then they'll lose the next week. And then they'll be 8-7 and in the hunt in week 17, and they'll have to beat the Texans with Charlie Batch as their quarterback, and they'll be 8-8, and everyone else will lose, and then they'll play the Colts on the first Saturday afternoon of the playoffs in the TJ Yates Bowl.
That was fun fan fiction. I have no idea what's going to happen in the Seattle-Philadelphia game. Philadelphia is playing for its playoff life. Seattle has to travel all the way across the country, which they don't always do successfully. This is a game between actual teams that have something to play for. So that's why I'm changing the subject with a dramatic turn and no sort of actual segue at all. We're just moving on. I'm picking the Seahawks to win this game, but I would be in no way surprised if they lay a total egg. Like, I'm not even going to say close game. Like, Seattle either wins or they lose by 17.
I picked Seattle. I think it's pretty clear.
I picked Seattle too. I'm not really sure how.
That's so weird. Like on Yahoo, it's 58% for Philadelphia.
Also, all you Seattle Seahawks ding dongs out there who are like, "Oh, Seattle has a bye week, and now everybody thinks that Lamar Jackson's an MVP and Russell Wilson hasn't had a bad game." Blah 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 blah. Well, your overtime win that your hero Russell Wilson got you against the 49ers 2 weeks ago, he entered overtime with like 150 passing yards, and then he threw an interception that should have cost them the game if the 49ers kicker was worth a shit. And he was also 20 of 41 with a pick six against the Ravens at home 4 weeks ago. So miss me with that Russell Wilson hasn't had a bad game shit. All right, I'm done with that. But he threw as many touchdowns to the Ravens as he did to the Seahawks in that game.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it feels pretty clear to me, but I haven't been doing very good in the pick'ems this
I picked
season,
the Seahawks.
So, yeah, but I picked the Seahawks.
9 out of 10 dentists recommend Sensodyne for your feelings, Joey.
Ooh.
That's okay. Lamar Jackson's the leading vote getter of all players for the Pro Bowl, as he should be.
What a high honor.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what, though? He's not even going to play in it.
I don't care. I don't even think I've ever watched a Pro Bowl.
Watched a little
You'd
bit
watch
of
if
every
Lamar
Pro
was
Bowl.
playing.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, you would.
People can't even tackle him when they try. Why would I watch the Pro Bowl? Why would I do that? What a waste of time.
All right, let's talk last game. I'm gonna say Pittsburgh Cincinnati.
Oh,
It's ugly, man. I don't know.
that's fair.
I don't know. We already talked about it though, so I guess I'll have to pick another one, huh?
TJ Watt is going to make you feel like an idiot this week. Do you realize the rage he has right now?
Nope.
They're going to sack Ryan Finley 11 times?
11 times, guys. You heard it here, boys.
Also, TJ Watt is harboring lots of pent-up aggression from some family matters from the week. Earlier in the week, JJ, who's out with an injury, tweeted out his phone number, or one of his phone numbers, and said, "Fans, ask me whatever questions you want." And TJ replied and said, "Is our group chat that boring that you have to just like elicit responses from total strangers on Twitter?" So TJ Watt, angry, out to prove that he's not a boring brother on Sunday.
How about the Raiders Jets?
11.
How about an ugly game there, man?
There's a ton of ugly games.
I know. I don't know, man. Did I pick the Jets? I think I picked the Jets. No, I ended up picking the Raiders. I wanted to pick the Jets, though, man. The Jets have, like... Well, I guess they beat the Giants and the Redskins.
Yeah,
never mind. I just was holding on so tight to maybe the Jets would be good this season.
Here's one that, like, truly nobody knows what's going to happen. Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Who's Atlanta?
I don't even
remember. Are they the worst defense in the league from the first 10 weeks? Or are they the team that held the Saints to 9 points and then dominated Christian McCaffrey last week? Like,
it was such an insignificant game that I don't even remember picking it. You were like, Atlanta, Tampa Bay. I was like, who the fuck are they? And why are they playing each other?
Red Team 1 versus Red Team 2.
Yeah.
I'm on Atlanta all day.
I picked Atlanta. They're on a hot streak, man.
Jameis Winston is a joke. Tampa Bay's a joke. They're a joke. They might as well wear those old uniforms, those old white and
creamsicles?
Creamsicles.
Yes, please.
That's what they are right now.
How dope would the throwback game be on this if the Falcons wore like the Jamal Anderson, Chris Chandler throwback unis and the Bucks wore the creamsicle joints?
Yeah.
That's the type of result I'm expecting too.
Yeah.
33-5.
Back to the Succaneers days.
What was like 29 straight losses or something?
It was insane.
Man.
They stunk.
Bless them. All right, guys.
Bless them. How long have you been waiting to sneak that nonsense in? Yeah.
Man.
You thought we weren't going to notice that? You thought you were just going to start?
I absolutely expected you to notice it.
Oh, Chad, and I'll leave this up to some mystery for our listeners because I haven't been able to sneak it in because I haven't been thinking about it. I haven't been able to sneak in getting your T's L'd yet.
What?
Chad knows what I'm talking about.
It's honestly the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'll probably just like leave the podcast when Joey decides that he thinks it's the right thing to say.
Can't wait.
All right, guys, that's enough shenanigans for this week. What's the score right now, Joey?
20-17.
Wow, Joey, you sound so different.
Tehans.
2017 Texans?
It's in a commercial, so.
Oh, okay.
I have it pulled up
on
my telefono.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure because Joey normally has it live and you usually don't. But, yeah, so that's the game so far. I'm on Texans. Joey, you're on Texans, right? Or no, you're on Colts.
I'm on Colts. But the Texans have the ball back. I don't know how that happened.
Chad, who are you on again? I'm sorry.
Texans. I think this is a clear bounce back for them, especially with Marlon Mack hurt. I think the Colts fade and the Steelers' wild card chances are given new life.
But, yeah, so we'll see how these games end up turning out. We may have a bunch of snooze fests this week. I don't know. We'll see. Either that or they'll be incredibly exciting. So, one or the other. Who knows? You know. But thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. We had a lot of good interactions early on, so that's good. And we had a lot of good interactions last podcast as well. So hopefully we can keep that kind of stuff up. keep hanging out with us while we shoot the shit about football and talk nonsense, like about how George Kittle is an All-Pro, and and about how the Cowboys are good. But anyways, for the time being, check us out Tuesdays and Thursday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be here to talk football. You should be here with us. Good times. It'll be fun. In the meantime, we'll see what happens with these games, man. It'll be good stuff. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for having some sweeper red maple whatever. And, yeah. Catch y'all later.